It started like just another quiet morning in a sleepy rural town, until the sound of sirens shattered the calm. An elderly woman, kind-hearted and known by everyone as Mama Jean, found herself caught in the middle of a police operation gone horribly wrong. In a chaotic misunderstanding, officers stormed her home during a botched raid. Minutes later, Mama Jean was gone, an innocent life lost to confusion and panic. The small town was left in shock, but no one felt the weight of that moment more than her only son. What those officers didn't know, what they couldn't have imagined, was that Mama Jean's son wasn't just any man. For years, he lived off the radar, working in shadows, serving in silence. A former Delta Force commander, highly decorated and feared across enemy lines, he had walked away from war to live a quiet life, far from violence. But that peace died with his mother. The news hit him like a strike to the chest, and when the system that was supposed to protect the innocent started closing ranks to cover its mistakes, something inside him snapped. This wasn't about revenge, it was about justice, and he knew how to get it. What happens when the most dangerous man the military ever trained is forced to fight the battle of his life, not on foreign soil, but at home? The streets that once felt safe are about to become a battlefield, and he's not backing down. He hadn't spoken to anyone in years, not since he left the unit. Most people thought he'd vanished, maybe even died overseas, but he just wanted out, a quiet life, away from bloodshed. He bought land just outside town, fixed up an old cabin, and spent his days chopping wood, fishing, and calling his mother every night at 8 p.m. sharp. She was his anchor. Mama Jean kept him grounded, reminded him there was still good in the world. Now she was gone. The official story didn't sit right. Police claimed it was a raid on a suspected drug house. Wrong address, wrong intel. No charges filed, no one held accountable. Just a few lines in a report and a closed case. But he knew better. He'd seen cover-ups before. He could smell it in the way the sheriff dodged questions, the way the body cam footage malfunctioned. Something was off. He returned to town quietly. No uniform, no weapons, just old boots, a duffel bag, and eyes that had seen too much. He visited the house where it happened. Yellow tape still hung loose across the porch. Neighbors whispered from behind curtains. Some looked away. Others gave him a nod like they knew. He wasn't here for revenge. Not yet. He just wanted the truth. But truth has a cost, and some people were already nervous that he'd come back. He wasn't asking questions to start trouble, but trouble always finds the kind of man who knows exactly where to look. The more he asked around, the quieter people got. It wasn't fear of him. They feared who might be listening. This town had changed while he was gone. The police, once part of the community, now felt like a wall separating the people from the truth. Some said new faces had joined the force, officers who didn't grow up there, didn't know Mama Jean, didn't care to. Others whispered about private deals, shady money, and a growing silence around anything that looked like accountability. He stopped by the diner where Mama Jean used to meet her church group every Sunday. One of the waitresses, an old classmate of his, slid him a folded napkin with a name and number. She saw something, she said, without looking him in the eye. That's how it began. A trail of people too scared to talk, but too angry to stay quiet. A retired cop, now a security guard. A paramedic who arrived too late. A teenager who recorded part of the raid before someone in uniform snatched his phone. Meanwhile, the local news had gone quiet. What started as a headline faded fast. He knew what that meant. Someone was leaning on the media, burying the story before it could take root. It wasn't just bad police work anymore. It was something deeper. And while he stayed low, those behind the cover-up were already watching. They knew who he was. They remembered what he was capable of, and they were starting to wonder if they'd made a deadly mistake. He moved with precision, like he had in the field, quiet, alert, never in the same place twice. The deeper he dug, the darker things got. He found out the raid wasn't just a mistake. It was part of a pattern: wrong houses, missing reports, people intimidated into silence. A few officers had histories that never should have passed background checks. One had ties to a security firm with government contracts, the kind that blur the line between legal and illegal. He followed the trail to an abandoned warehouse on the edge of town. Old building, no cameras, but new tire tracks in the dirt. Inside, he found files, gear, and surveillance photos. Some of him. They were watching before he even got back. Someone had been keeping tabs on Mama Jane for months, but he still didn't know why. The truth wasn't just about her death anymore. It was about something bigger, something he was never meant to uncover. Back at the cabin, he found the locks tampered with. A message was left on the kitchen table, 6 words, written in marker on the back of a receipt. Asterisk, go back to the graveyard, soldier. Asterisk, they knew who he was. And now they weren't hiding it. As night fell, a black SUV idled at the bottom of his driveway. No headlights. No movement. He didn't flinch. He reached under the floorboards, pulled out the case he hoped he'd never need again. The war they started wasn't over. It was just coming home. He watched the SUV from the shadows of his cabin, unmoving, patient. Whoever was inside wasn't there to talk. But just as he gripped the handle of the case, ready for the worst, the vehicle slowly rolled away, disappearing into the tree line. He didn't follow. Not yet. He knew they'd be back. What he didn't expect was what came next. Early the next morning, he got a call from the number on the napkin, the witness. Her voice was shaking. "They found me," she whispered. "I didn't tell them anything, I swear." Then the line went dead. He rushed to her trailer on the outskirts of town, but it was already too late. It was gutted by fire. No sign of her, no answers, just a half-burned photograph near the door, one he instantly recognized. It was him and Mama Jean, from years ago. Someone had sent a message, loud and clear: "Stop digging or people start disappearing." But the twist came when he scanned the photo more closely. On the back, written in faded pen, was a number he hadn't seen in over a decade, his old unit's secure line. Only a handful of people could have known it, and none of them was supposed to be active. Suddenly, everything shifted. What if this wasn't just a local cover-up? What if someone from his past, someone trained like him, was involved? He wasn't just facing corrupt cops now. He might be going up against someone who knew all his moves, because they were taught the same way. The number on the photo led to a secure channel still active, hidden deep, off-grid. When he finally connected, a voice he hadn't heard in years answered. "Took you long enough." It was Cole, his old second-in-command. A man he trusted like a brother, long thought dead after a mission gone wrong overseas. But Cole wasn't dead. He was working in the shadows, leading a private unit operating without oversight, contracted by unknown sources. And now it seemed their paths had crossed again, for the worst reason. Cole admitted it was his team behind the raid that killed Mama Jean, not police. A cover-up from the start. She had unknowingly received a package meant for someone else, evidence tied to an old Black Ops operation gone rogue. The mission was to retrieve it quietly, but something went wrong. Mama Jean had resisted, and Cole, always the cold operator, saw her as collateral. That was the breaking point. He tracked Cole to a hidden facility buried in the woods, surrounded by mercenaries trained just like he had been. But he didn't need an army. He just needed one shot. The confrontation was brutal. Years of silence turned to rage. In the end, Cole reached for his weapon, but hesitated. That moment cost him. It was over in seconds. As he walked away, wounded but alive, the final twist came. Tucked inside Cole's gear was a second photo, not of Mama Jean, of him as a child, standing with a man he never knew. Labeled simply, *Subject 01. He sat on the porch of the cabin as the sun broke through the trees, the morning quiet again, just like it used to be. But nothing was the same. The photo he found in Cole's gear still rested in his hands, worn at the edges. It showed him as a boy, standing next to a man in military uniform, face stern, eyes familiar. His mother had always told him his father died before he was born. But this changed everything. Was Cole sent not just to silence a witness, but to erase something deeper, something tied to his own past? Answers wouldn't come easy, and some he might never get. But he knew one thing for sure: Mama Jean didn't die for nothing. Her story wouldn't fade into silence. He handed over everything: photos, documents, names, to the one reporter in town still brave enough to publish the truth. The headlines hit within days. Illegal black ops behind small-town tragedy. Investigations opened. Doors that were once locked tight started to crack. People who'd been scared began to speak up. The system wouldn't heal overnight, but it was a start. He didn't stick around for the noise. He packed a small bag, left the cabin keys on the table, and walked into the trees with nothing but a compass and that old photo. Justice was served, but the journey wasn't over. Somewhere out there, pieces of his story still waited to be found. And this time, he wasn't running from the past. He was hunting it.